The movie begins and we see the Galactic Senate, which is like a big government for all the planets in the galaxy. It is having some big problems. Some planets want to leave because they're not happy with how things are going. This guy named Count Dooku is leading this group, and it's causing a lot of trouble for the Jedi, who are like space peacekeepers or knights. Then we see Senator Amidala, who's from Naboo. She comes back to the Senate to help vote on making an army to help the Jedi. But when she arrives on the city planet Coruscant, where the Senate is, there is a scary explosion. Her bodyguard named Cord sacrifices herself to protect Amidala. Captain Typho tells Amidala it's still too dangerous, but she's determined to stay and help. Then we see the Senate, where the Chancellor Palpatine announces Amidala's assassination attempt, which shocks everyone. They start arguing about whether to make an army or not. We see some senators are scared for their own safety. Amidala tries to warn them about the dangers of war, but some people don't listen and even boo her. The Senate can't agree on what to do, so they stop the meeting without making a decision. Later, Chancellor Palpatine meets with the Jedi, and they're all worried about the vote and the Separatist movement. They want to keep the galaxy together and avoid war. But Jedi Master Yoda senses something even scarier lurking in the shadows, something dark and mysterious. He can't see clearly into the future because the dark side of the Force is messing everything up. Then we see Senator Amidala and her friends show up in Palpatine's office, and that's where things start to get really interesting. Yoda gently taps Senator Amidala, attempting to comfort her after the scary attack, and she shares her suspicion that Count Dooku might be behind it, surprising the Jedi because Dooku used to be one of them. Chancellor Palpatine suggests putting Amidala under Jedi protection, specifically asking for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Although Amidala is hesitant about having more guards, Palpatine insists it's for her safety. After that, we see Anakin and Obi-Wan ride an elevator to Amidala's apartment. Anakin's nervous because he hasn't seen her in 10 years. Jar Jar greets them with his usual enthusiasm. In Amidala's apartment, she meets Obi-Wan and Anakin, expressing her doubts about needing extra security and her determination to find out who's trying to kill her. Obi-Wan and Anakin start arguing about their mission to protect Senator Amidala. Anakin wants to investigate the assassination attempts, but Obi-Wan reminds him their job is to keep her safe, not to play detective. Anakin's impulsive comments earn him a stern rebuke from Obi-Wan. Feeling reassured by the Jedi's presence, Senator Amidala leaves. Captain Typho expresses relief at their arrival while Jar Jar tries to cheer up Anakin. Anakin feels a bit hurt that Amidala barely recognized him, but Jar Jar tries to console him. At that time, bounty hunters Jango Fett and Zam Wesell are plotting another attempt on Amidala's life. They discuss using poisonous creatures for the attack. At the Jedi Temple, Mace Windu and Yoda talk about the dark forces they sense at play, and Yoda feels a disturbance in the Force, indicating that trouble is looming ahead. Back at Amidala's apartment, Anakin meditates while Obi-Wan checks the security. They discuss their mission and the potential danger. Obi-Wan worries about using Amidala as bait, but Anakin reassures him that she's safe. They debate their roles as protectors and the risks involved. Outside Amidala's apartment, a bad guy named Zam Wesell sends a robot to try to kill her. After that, we see Anakin and Obi-Wan are talking, and Anakin admits he's worried about his mom. They chat more about Amidala and politics. Anakin likes Amidala and Chancellor Palpatine, but Obi-Wan warns him to be careful because politicians can be tricky. While Amidala is sleeping, the robot sneaks into her room. Luckily, R2-D2 notices and tells Anakin and Obi-Wan. They rush to help her, and Anakin fights off some scary creatures sent by the robot. The robot tries to run away, so Obi-Wan goes after it, and Anakin joins him later. They have this wild chase through the city, with Anakin showing off his flying skills. During the chase, there are lots of close calls and dangerous moments, but Anakin keeps going, even when Obi-Wan tells him to slow down. Finally, they catch up to the robot and the person controlling it, Zam Wesell. There's a big fight, and the speeder they're all in crashes. Anakin and Zam keep fighting on foot in the busy city streets. Overall, it's a crazy adventure with lots of action and danger, but Anakin and Obi-Wan manage to stay on top of things, even if they don't always see eye to eye. Obi-Wan catches up to Anakin, reminding him to stay calm and trust in the Force, handing him back his lightsaber as a symbol of his responsibility and the importance of their mission. Anakin reassures Obi-Wan, but the Jedi Master remains wary of his impulsive nature, knowing it could endanger them both. Entering the nightclub where Zam Wesell vanished, tensions between Anakin and Obi-Wan bubble to the surface. Anakin expresses his fondness for Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan admonishes him for not heeding his advice, revealing the strain in their mentor-student relationship. As they confront Zam Wesell, the situation escalates into a life-threatening encounter. Utilizing their Jedi skills, they manage to subdue Zam and extract vital information about the plot against Senator Amidala. However, before they can learn more, Zam succumbs to a mysterious fate, leaving them with only a poisonous dart as evidence. Returning to the Jedi Temple, Obi-Wan and Anakin report to the Jedi Council, who assign them separate tasks. Obi-Wan is tasked with tracking down the bounty hunter, while Anakin is assigned to protect Senator Amidala, disguised as refugees. Anakin seeks Chancellor Palpatine's support in persuading Senator Amidala to comply with the directive. Palpatine subtly encourages Anakin, stoking his ambition and self-assurance. Despite Obi-Wan's reservations about Anakin's readiness, the Council stands by their decision, recognizing his exceptional abilities and potential. As they navigate the complexities of their respective missions, both Obi-Wan and Anakin wrestle with their roles as Jedi and the challenges they face in a galaxy fraught with danger and intrigue. The dynamics between mentor and apprentice, as well as the larger political landscape, continue to shape their destinies in profound ways. As Anakin and Padme prepare to depart from Coruscant disguised as peasants, tensions rise between them as they navigate their respective roles and responsibilities. Padme expresses her frustration with the situation, while Anakin grapples with his eagerness to prove himself as a Jedi Knight. After that, we see Obi-Wan receives a crucial task from the Jedi Council to investigate the assassination attempt on Senator Amidala. As he delves into the mystery, he seeks answers through analysis at the Jedi Temple, hoping to uncover the origins of the toxic dart used in the attack. The dynamics between mentor and apprentice, as well as the intricate web of political intrigue, continue to shape the destinies of Anakin, Padme, and Obi-Wan as they navigate the complexities of their missions and the challenges they face in a galaxy teetering on the brink of turmoil. As Obi-Wan seeks answers about the mysterious Kamino saber dart, he turns to Dex's Diner and its proprietor, Dexter Jettster, for information. Dex identifies the dart as belonging to the Kaminoans, a secluded society known for their cloning expertise. Obi-Wan learns that Kamino is located beyond the Outer Rim, making it a remote and obscure destination. Then we come to the Jedi Temple, where Obi-Wan consults with Jedi archivist Jocasta Nu in the archive library. They discuss Count Dooku, a former Jedi who left the Order and later became the leader of the Separatist movement. Jocasta Nu assists Obi-Wan in searching for information about Kamino, but they struggle to find any records of its existence, raising doubts about its legitimacy. As Obi-Wan delves deeper into the mystery surrounding Kamino and the origins of the saber dart, he encounters obstacles that challenge his investigation and lead him to question the credibility of the information he's received. As Obi-Wan and Jocasta Nu attempt to locate the missing planet Kamino in the Jedi archives, they encounter difficulties and inconsistencies in the star map data. Jocasta Nu suggests that the planet may have been destroyed or erased from the records, leading Obi-Wan to question the completeness of the archives. Then we see, aboard the Starfreighter, Anakin confides in Padme about his dreams of his mother and his concerns for her well-being. He shares his longing for Naboo and reflects on the challenges of being a Jedi, including the prohibition on attachment. At the Jedi Temple, Obi-Wan seeks assistance from Master Yoda and engages with a group of younglings to uncover the mystery of the missing planet. The children suggest that someone may have intentionally erased the planet's information from the archives. Yoda acknowledges the gravity of the situation and advises Obi-Wan to meditate on the puzzle. As the Starfreighter arrives on Naboo, Obi-Wan's investigation into the disappearance of Kamino leads him deeper into a complex web of intrigue and uncertainty. As Padme, Anakin, and R2 arrive on Naboo, they are greeted by the grandeur of the palace courtyard. Anakin expresses his admiration for the beauty of Naboo and reminisces about his childhood longing for his home planet. Padme reflects on her political career and her dedication to serving the Republic, despite the challenges she faces. Inside the palace, Padme engages in discussions with Queen Jamelia, Co. Bibble, and other advisors about the escalating crisis in the Republic. They debate the growing influence of corporate interests and the need for diplomatic solutions to prevent further conflict. Concerned for Padme's safety, Queen Jamelia suggests that she stay in the isolated Lake Country for her own protection. Anakin, frustrated by his lack of authority, reluctantly agrees to accompany her. At that time, Queen Jamelia informs Padme about her family's worries and encourages her to visit her mother before leaving. As Padme and Anakin walk through the residential area of Theed, then we see Obi-Wan arrives on a planet called Kamino and meets Prime Minister Lama Su. Lama Su tells Obi-Wan about a clone army that was made for the Republic by a Jedi named Sifo Dyas. This is a big surprise to Obi-Wan. Later we see Anakin and Padme go to a beautiful place on Naboo's lake. Padme remembers her school trips and swimming there. Anakin comments on how different it is from his harsh desert home. They start getting closer and share a kiss, but Padme feels guilty and pulls away. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan watches thousands of clone troopers training on Kamino. Prime Minister Lama Su proudly showcases the clone troopers to Obi-Wan, emphasizing their obedience and efficiency. He reveals that the clones were created from the genetic template of a bounty hunter named Jango Fett, who who demanded an unaltered clone for himself. Obi-Wan expresses interest in meeting Jango Fett, and Lama Su agrees to arrange it. At that time, Anakin and Padme enjoy a playful and intimate moment in the idyllic mountain meadow on Naboo. They discuss politics, with Anakin expressing his idealistic view of a system where politicians prioritize the greater good. Their playful banter escalates into a fruit fight and a comical chase with a shock. Eventually, they share a moment of connection before riding off together on the shock. In Kamino, Obi-Wan and Taun-We arrive at Jango Fett's apartment, where they encounter his son, Boba Fett, who confirms his father's presence. In Jango Fett's apartment on Kamino, Obi-Wan, Taun-We, and Boba Fett encounter Jango, who eyes Obi-Wan with suspicion. Obi-Wan compliments Jango on the impressive clone army, to which Jango responds with a veiled threat. Obi-Wan subtly probes Jango about his knowledge of Master Sifo Dyas, but Jango denies any association with him, claiming to have been recruited by someone named Darth Tyranus. Taun-We interjects, affirming Sifo Dyas' involvement and explaining the secrecy surrounding the Jedi's role. Despite the tense exchange, Obi-Wan thanks Jango and leaves. Back on Naboo, Anakin and Padme share a moment of intimacy by the fireplace, where Anakin pours out his feelings for her. However, Padme resists, reminding him of the consequences of their relationship given their respective roles as a Jedi and a senator. Despite their strong feelings, Padme insists they cannot pursue a romantic relationship and urges Anakin to focus on his Jedi training. Heartbroken, Anakin reluctantly agrees, acknowledging that their love would only lead to destruction. As Obi-Wan prepares to leave Kamino, he covertly sends a message to Coruscant using his astromech droid, R4, signaling a Code 5 scramble to the Jedi Council. The message is addressed to the old folks' home, indicating that Obi-Wan is aware of the dangers lurking and is taking precautionary measures. In Yoda's quarters at the Jedi Temple, Yoda and Mace Windu receive Obi-Wan's holographic message about his encounter with Jango Fett on Kamino. Obi-Wan suspects that Jango Fett, the bounty hunter, may be the assassin they are seeking. However, he clarifies that the cloners on Kamino seem to have no motive for the assassination plot. Yoda instructs Obi-Wan to bring Jango Fett into custody for questioning, as they suspect a deeper conspiracy behind the creation of the clone army. Then we see Anakin experiences a nightmare about his mother, prompting him to confide in Padme about his strong desire to rescue her, despite the risks it poses to his Jedi duties. Padme agrees to accompany Anakin to Tatooine to help him find his mother, suggesting they keep their mission a secret from Obi-Wan. As Obi-Wan arrives at Jango Fett's apartment on Kamino, he discovers that the Fett family has hastily departed. Rushing to the landing platform, Obi-Wan confronts Jango Fett just as he and his son Boba are about to leave in their ship, Slave Eye. A fierce battle ensues, with Jango ultimately escaping as his ship takes off. However, Obi-Wan manages to attach a tracking device to the ship before it disappears into hyperspace. Later on Tatooine, Anakin seeks information about his mother from Watto, who reveals that he sold Shmi Skywalker to a moisture farmer named Lars. Determined to find her, Anakin and Padme set off to locate the Lars homestead. Then we see, in space above Geonosis, Jango Fett's ship approaches the planet, unaware that Obi-Wan is secretly following him. Through this scene we see Boba Fett and his dad, Jango Fett, realize someone is tracking them with a device. To shake off the tracker, they fly into an asteroid field, but Obi-Wan still follows them. They have a big space fight, and Jango shoots a torpedo at Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan dodges it and hides in the asteroids. At that time, on Tatooine, Anakin Skywalker goes back to his old home and finds out his mom is gone. Cliegg Lars, who's married to Anakin's mom, tells him that Tusken Raiders took her. Even though Cliegg warns him not to, Anakin decides to find his mom. Padme, Anakin's friend, stays behind, worrying about him. Anakin searches the desert, meets some Jawas, and finds a campfire where some farmers were killed. At the same time, Obi-Wan sneaks onto the planet Geonosis and finds a huge underground base where Count Dooku, the bad guy, is gathering supporters for a group called the Separatists. Back on Tatooine, Anakin rescues his mom from the Tusken Raiders, but she dies in his arms. Anakin gets really mad and kills the Tusken Raiders guarding the camp. He's getting ready to fight the rest of them. The scene shifts between various locations and characters Yoda sensing Qui-Gon's distress. Obi-Wan on Geonosis discovering Count Dooku's involvement with the Separatists, Anakin grieving over his mother's death on Tatooine, and Padme and Anakin receiving a message from Obi-Wan about his situation. As tensions rise and alliances shift, the stage is set for the impending conflict on Geonosis. The tension escalates as Count Dooku tries to sway Padme to his cause, appealing to her disillusionment with the Republic. However, Padme remains steadfast in her allegiance to the ideals of the Republic. At that time, Anakin finds himself in a precarious situation, surrounded by enemies and facing imminent danger. As the scene unfolds, the fate of both Anakin and Padme hangs in the balance, with the threat of execution looming over them. The tension mounts as the execution arena becomes a battleground. Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Padme fight for their lives against the monstrous creatures, displaying their courage and resourcefulness. Then we see Mace Windu arrives with a contingent of Jedi, turning the tables on Count Dooku and his allies. The stage is set for an epic confrontation between the Jedi and their adversaries. As the battle in the arena reaches its climax, Count Dooku reveals his true intentions, ordering the Jedi's destruction. However, just as all seems lost, Republic gunships swoop in to rescue the Jedi, turning the tide of the battle. With the arrival of the clone troopers, the Republic forces overwhelm the Separatist defenses, signaling a major victory. Then we see Boba Fett mourns his father's helmet amidst the chaos, and in the command center, Dooku and his allies assess the situation, possibly plotting their next move. The intense battle on Geonosis reaches a critical moment as Count Dooku attempts to flee in a speeder, pursued by Anakin and Obi-Wan in a gunship. Anakin's concern for Padme leads him to insist on landing the ship to check on her safety, despite Obi-Wan's warnings about the consequences. As Anakin struggles with his emotions, Obi-Wan reminds him of Padme's dedication to duty, urging him to focus on their mission. Then we see Yoda senses a disturbance in the Force, hinting at the peril facing Padme. Then we see Count Dooku tries to escape from Anakin and Obi-Wan on the planet Geonosis, but they confront him in a secret hangar. Anakin, being impulsive, attacks Dooku, which leads to a big fight where Anakin gets seriously hurt. Luckily, Obi-Wan helps out, and Yoda, the wise Jedi Master, joins in too. Even though Dooku is really strong, Yoda is even better with a lightsaber, and he defeats Dooku. But Dooku manages to run away in his spaceship, leaving the Jedi to take care of Anakin. Then, the scene shifts to Coruscant, a big city planet, where Dooku meets with Darth Sidious, who's secretly the evil mastermind behind everything. Dooku tells Sidious that the war has started. Back at the Jedi Temple, everyone's worried about what Dooku said about Sidious influencing the Senate, which is like the government of the galaxy. Yoda realizes that things are getting really serious, and it's the start of something called the Clone War. Then we see Palpatine, who's secretly Darth Sidious, and other leaders watching as clone troops, who are soldiers made from the same person, start getting ready for battle. This marks the beginning of a big war. Finally, on Naboo, which is Padme's home planet, Anakin and Padme get married in a beautiful ceremony. This symbolizes hope in the middle of all the chaos. As the story ends and the credits roll, we see that the galaxy is in a tense situation, and we come to know through this final scene that there are more big events on the way. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to show your support by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to receive notifications for future uploads.